Last July, a man carried his golden retriever through my clinic doors. Big dog, maybe 70 pounds, and this man carried him like a baby. He'd been playing fetch with her in the backyard for 45 minutes. Beautiful sunny day. Nothing unusual. Then she wobbled, sat down in the grass, and wouldn't get up. He did what almost anyone would do. He panicked, put her in the car, and drove 25 minutes to reach me. And I have to be honest with you about something, because this is the entire reason I'm making this video. By the time she reached my table, the thing that was going to decide whether she lived or died had already happened. Not in my clinic, in his driveway, in his car, in those 25 minutes. I'm Dr. Evan Park. I've been a veterinarian for over 20 years, and every single summer I see dogs die from heat stroke who did not have to die. Not because their owners didn't love them. These are some of the most loving owners I've ever met. They die because in the 5 most important minutes of that dog's life, the owner's instincts told them to do the exact wrong thing. So today, I'm going to rewire those instincts. I'm going to give you the exact emergency protocol, the same steps I would take with my own dog, in the exact order you need to do them. I'll show you the warning signs that appear before the collapse, because your dog is almost always telling you something is wrong long before they go down. And near the end, I'm going to tell you about a piece of old advice, something you've probably heard your whole life, something that's still repeated on some of the biggest pet websites in the world, that veterinary science has now completely reversed. If you remember only one thing from this video, it needs to be that one. But first, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your dog on a hot day, because once you see this clearly, everything else I tell you will make perfect sense. Let me ask you something. When you get hot, really hot, what does your body do? You sweat everywhere. Your arms, your back, your forehead. You are covered head to toe in millions of microscopic cooling stations, and they all switch on automatically. It's one of the best cooling systems in the entire animal kingdom. Now here's your dog. How many of those sweat glands do they have? A handful. In their paw pads. That's essentially it. Your dog's entire cooling system, the whole thing, is panting, moving air across the wet surfaces of the tongue and throat so that evaporation can carry heat away. One mechanism, one vent. Imagine trying to cool your entire house in the middle of August through a single cracked window. That's what your dog is working with. And now add the cruel twist, humidity. When the air is humid, the way it is across so much of America every summer, from Texas to Florida to the Carolinas, even up through the Midwest during a heat wave, evaporation slows to a crawl. The air is already saturated, the panting keeps happening, but it stops working. Your dog is running their only cooling system at full blast, and the heat is building anyway. That's the trap. Because from the outside, a panting dog looks normal. Dogs pant all the time, right? So the owner sees nothing wrong, while inside the temperature is climbing. A dog's normal body temperature sits at around 101, 102 degrees. Once it pushes past 104, we're in dangerous territory. Past 106, organs start taking damage. The brain, the kidneys, the liver, the blood itself. Heat stroke can trigger clotting problems that unravel the whole system. And here's the number that shocks people. A dog can travel that entire distance, from happy and playing to critical, in minutes. Not an afternoon, minutes. Which is why the next section might be the most valuable few minutes of this video, because heat stroke almost never comes out of nowhere. Your dog sends signals, early ones, and most owners either miss them or misread them. Let me show you what they actually look like. Heat illness comes in stages, and I want to walk you through them the way I'd explain it to a client sitting across from me, because the differences between these stages are the difference between an easy save and a tragedy. Stage 1 looks almost innocent. Your dog is panting, steadily, not frantically. They start slowing down on the walk. They drift toward shade. Maybe they lie down on the tile floor or press their belly into the cool concrete. They might just seem a little reluctant, a little stubborn. Most owners see this and think their dog is being lazy, or tired, or difficult. But I want you to hear what your dog is actually saying, because this behavior is a sentence. I cannot keep up with this heat. A dog seeking cool surfaces and refusing to move is not misbehaving. They're self-treating. That's your window, right there. It costs you nothing to stop, get them to shade and water, and end the activity. Everything I'm about to describe next, you may never have to see it if you act in stage 1. Stage 2 is where the alarm bells should be deafening. The panting changes character. It stops being rhythmic and becomes frantic, loud, labored, desperate. The drool changes too. It gets thick, ropey, hanging in strings, and now look at their gums, lift the lip, and look. In stage 2, those gums flush bright red. That redness is the body shoving blood to the surface in a last-ditch attempt to dump heat. It's the same reason your face flushes when you overheat. Your dog may vomit, they may have diarrhea, they may seem wobbly or strangely quiet. I need you to memorize that gum check because it's the closest thing you have to a dashboard warning light. Healthy pink is normal. Bright red means the system is overwhelmed. And what comes after bright red? That's stage 3. In stage 3, the gums darken, dark red, then purple, then blue tinged as circulation begins to fail. You might see tiny pinpoint spots on the gums like little bruises. That's bleeding under the tissue, and it means the blood itself is in trouble. The dog may become disoriented, stumbling like they're drunk. They may collapse, they may seize. This is the body losing the war. Now, here's the thing I tell every client, and it matters. In real life, these stages blur. Dogs don't announce which stage they're in, and they can slide from one to the next, terrifyingly fast. So please do not stand over your dog trying to diagnose the stage. If you see frantic panting, red gums, wobbling, vomiting, or collapse on a warm day, you assume heat stroke and you act. Because here's the good news, and this is the part I need you sitting forward for. The response is the same regardless of stage. It requires nothing but what's already in your home, and done correctly, it can more than double your dog's chance of survival. Let me give you the protocol. Step by step, in order. Step 1, get your dog out of the heat, immediately. Out of the sun, off the hot ground, into shade at minimum, into air conditioning if you can. Every second your dog spends in the environment that caused this, the fire keeps burning. This sounds obvious, and yet in the panic of the moment, I've known owners who spent 5 minutes calling clinics while their dog lay in direct sun. Move first. Everything else happens in the shade or indoors. Step 2, and this is the heart of everything. Start cooling your dog with water, right there, right now. Cool water. Pour it, hose it, shower it over their body, and target the right zones, the belly, the armpits, the groin, the paws. Why those? Because that's where the big blood vessels run close to the surface. Cooling those areas cools the blood, and the blood carries that coolness to the core, to the organs, to the brain. Soak them thoroughly, not a sprinkle, a soaking. If your dog is small, you can even place them in a sink or tub of cool water, keeping the head well above water at all times. Step 3, add moving air, a fan, air conditioning, even fanning them with a piece of cardboard. Here's why this multiplies everything. Remember, evaporation is the engine of cooling. Wet fur plus moving air equals rapid evaporation, and rapid evaporation is exactly the cooling system your dog's body was failing to achieve on its own. Water plus airflow. That combination is your emergency room right there in your backyard. Step 4, offer water to drink, but never force it. If your dog is alert and wants to drink, let them in small amounts. If they're dazed or barely conscious, do not pour water into their mouth. A semi-conscious dog can inhale that water into their lungs, and now you have 2 emergencies instead of 1. Offer. Never force. And step 5, now you drive. After cooling has begun, after those first several minutes of soaking and airflow, you load your dog into the car, you crank the air conditioning as cold as it goes, you point the vents directly at them, and you go to the nearest veterinary clinic. If someone is with you, have them call the clinic on the way so the team is ready with IV fluids and oxygen before you pull in. And if possible, have that second person sit with the dog and keep them wet. Do you see the order? Cool first, transport second. Say it out loud if you're alone right now. Cool first, transport second. Because that order is exactly backwards from what your instincts will scream at you, and it is the single biggest thing separating the dogs who walk out of my clinic from the dogs who don't. Here's the number that should tattoo this into your memory. Research has found that dogs cooled before arriving at the vet are roughly 2.5 times more likely to survive than dogs who were simply rushed straight in. 2.5 times. That's not a marginal edge, that's the whole game. And yet, studies of real emergencies found that nearly 3 out of 4 owners skip the cooling entirely and just drive. Loving owners, panicked owners, owners exactly like the man with the golden retriever. Their love says, go, 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 and the whole time, the dog's internal temperature stays in the danger zone, cooking the organs for the entire ride. The damage from heat stroke isn't only about how high the temperature climbs, it's about how long it stays there. Minutes of delay are minutes of injury. When you cool first, you shorten that window, and you hand your veterinarian a dog that can still be saved. Now, earlier, I promised to tell you about a piece of advice you've probably heard your entire life, advice that's still sitting on major pet websites right now, that modern veterinary science has flipped on its head. Here it is. You've probably heard, never use cold water on an overheating dog, only lukewarm, and drape them in wet towels. For years, that was the standard line. The fear was that cold water would shock the system. Here's where things actually stand. The genuinely dangerous move is the wet towel. Listen carefully because this one catches even experienced owners. Do not cover your dog in soaked towels. It feels intuitive, like tucking an ice pack around them. But a wet towel laid over the body traps a layer of warm, humid air against the fur and blocks the evaporation you're depending on. It can actually hold heat in. Water needs to be poured, flowing, evaporating, never sealed against the body under fabric. As for water temperature, the thinking has genuinely shifted. Recent research in both human and veterinary emergency medicine has found that faster, more aggressive cooling with genuinely cool or even cold water outperforms the old cautious lukewarm approach, particularly for dogs that are conscious. What you should still avoid is packing ice directly against the skin because extreme icing can clamp the surface blood vessels shut. And those vessels are the very highways carrying heat out of the core. So, cool water, plenty of it, moving air over wet fur, no towels sealed on top, no direct ice packs. That's the modern protocol. And one more piece of the old advice to throw away, cool them down, and if they perk up, they're fine. No, and this one is genuinely important, so stay with me for it. Heat stroke is an iceberg. What you see on the surface, the panting, the wobbling, can improve while damage continues silently underneath. Some of the deadliest complications of heat stroke, kidney injury, liver damage, and especially the blood clotting disorders, develop hours after the dog looks recovered. I have seen dogs trot into my clinic looking almost normal after a cooling session, whose blood work told a very different story. Every suspected heat stroke gets seen by a vet. That same day, even if your dog seems perfectly fine. Cooling at home is first aid. It is not the finish line. Before I let you go, I want to talk about which dogs this happens to, because some of you are watching with a ticking clock lying at your feet and you don't know it. If you have a flat-faced breed, a bulldog, a French bulldog, a pug, a Boston terrier, I need you to hear this plainly. Your dog's cooling system is compromised by design. Panting works by moving air fast across the airway, and your dog's airway is shortened and narrowed. They cannot move air the way a Labrador can. This is not about fitness, it's physics built into their anatomy. Some of these breeds carry many times the average risk. The same heightened caution goes for the seniors, the overweight dogs, the thick-coated northern breeds, and puppies. For these dogs, a warm day that another dog shrugs off can be genuinely dangerous. And the car, you knew I couldn't end without the car. Even on a mild day, a day that feels like nothing, the inside of a parked car can climb to lethal temperatures in around 15 minutes. Cracked windows do not fix it. I'll just be 5 minutes is the opening line of the worst stories I know. There is no version of leaving a dog in a parked car in warm weather that is safe. None. So here's what I want you to actually do with all this. Because information you never rehearse is information you won't have when your hands are shaking. Tonight, walk through it once in your head, in your own home. Where's the hose? Where's the nearest fan? Which vet is closest to you? Not your regular vet, the closest one. And is their number in your phone? Lift your dog's lip and look at their gums right now, today, while they're healthy, so you know exactly what their normal pink looks like. That way, on the day it matters, you're not guessing, you're comparing. Because here's the truth at the center of all of this. That golden retriever I told you about at the beginning, she survived, barely, after days of intensive care that came down to luck as much as medicine. Her owner told me afterward that the worst part wasn't the fear. It was learning that the 5 minutes he spent carrying her to the car, buckling in, backing out of the driveway, those 5 minutes were the ones that nearly killed her. Nobody had ever told him. That's all it was. Nobody had ever told him. Now somebody has told you. Cool first. Transport second. Belly, armpits, groin, paws, moving air over wet fur, no towels, no forcing water, no, she seems fine now, and a vet visit every single time, no exceptions. Your dog trusts you with everything they have. On the hottest day of the year, with everything on the line, now you know exactly how to be worthy of it.